Who's at me?
See, that's what's gonna really well. The stream has started, Schnars. So just so you know.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm in the thing, but I hadn't seen it yet.
Anyway,
It usually-
my wife sleeps like a fucking bag of bricks, and I like the dog will fart and I wake up, so I'm pretty much
Oh.
screwed on that one.
That's pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah.
how I am. Like I can hear the wind blow too loud, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what was that?"
Just eyes wide awake, like fuck.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, what I'm a bad sleeper. I always have been, but it gets you to be a better sleeper.
My old
Because you just
dog.
stop
You just start
sleeping.
falling asleep in random places.
Our
'cause that's the
old
only time you
dog
can't
has
sleep.
started snoring too in her old age, which is sweet.
Good.
Schnars.
You know what bothers me about you and all your baby announcements is my next big announcement for the show will end up being grandparents.
God, there you go. I was gonna say it's when your daughter gives you that little.
We're probably within 10 years.
I mean,
Which
you know.
10 years used to seem like so long, and now I'm like 10 years. Jesus.
I know.
This show, especially, like, we talk about old movies, and that's why I always like to stop and be like, guys, you realize that, like, last week we were talking about Christmas Vacation. The movie was
Yeah.
like 30 fucking years ago.
That was a good point you made on the show when you were talking about Christmas. I will give you that. I listened to the episode and was like, yeah, Eric's saying something not completely insane.
Nailed
for
it.
once. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go
Uh,
get water and urinate. Mark, we are live on the internet right now.
Hi.
Mark,
Live on the internet.
Mark, you like the...
Oh, wow. Look at you.
Yeah. Nobody believed me,
looks-
I figured so.
That looks really sensitive.
Thank
Look
you.
really
Thank
sensitive.
you.
Sensitive.
This is my creative professional costume. I
Yeah,
went
the
for
ladies
Halloween.
like the sensitive man in his tie.
All right, I gotta fix my lighting situation. Hold on a second.
All right, John, you want to make sure you got the links and stuff?
Yeah, I'm posting it to Patreon now, so when you get
Alright.
back, it'll be
BRB.
posted.
Oh, shit. I didn't even set up the bumpers. Guess we gotta do that.
Uh-oh.
Okay, we're on the internet. Yeah, so let's no more talking about things
Yeah.
on the internet.
Don't put that out there.
What were we talking about?
Nothing.
Stuff.
Talking about you and Eric and your sensitive shirts.
Cool.
No. We didn't start a chat either.
Like it still doesn't even make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. Listen, just don't think about it. How should I start this chat so that when Eric gets back, he's not like, "Whoa, I don't see the chat." Like, is there like
Just,
a
You can't.
Yeah, just start it without him and then act like he's crazy.
I mean, that's what I do every time, and it never works out for me. Casey.
Do
Okay.
you guys feel like I really expressed myself in that email conversation? Like you really understood?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totes knew where you were coming from. It was great. Yeah. Cece, you're doing it wrong.
Damn.
Did you get?
My gifts don't get on the email chain. I get
I
turned
thought
down.
they were strong. I was in on those.
They were existentially horrifying. So
That's because you're old class now. You're not new class
I
anymore.
don't know, right? Damn.
Sorry.
I'm so jaded.
So I don't know about you guys, but I'm really dreading like trying to spend the next year not ever mentioning the election. Like
mean-
it's getting so fucking weird. Like at some point, because it's funny. The first year we were doing this, it was like the Obama's first election, and we definitely talked about it because I remember coming up a couple times, and I had some people stop following me on Twitter.
I'm sure I had something edgy to say.
I mean, I have nothing to really get into about it. It like at this point, it really, if it's Ted Cruz or Trump, it's just going to be an amazing
I am
ride.
really
Like,
enjoying
the whole thing is amazing.
I am really enjoying the sad Jeb Bush memes that are going around of just
Oh,
pictures
Saturday
of him
Night Live
like
was awesome.
pictures of him like looking from around curtains, just like
Did you see the Saturday Night Live yet?
I didn't see it. I heard someone at work was telling me about it. Said it was pretty.
I mean, the
amazing.
sad thing is, like,
Yeah.
if he had ran like 4 years ago, he probably would have beat Romney in the primaries, right?
I don't know, Eric. We're getting too deep already. We're
This
too
is just
deep.
special for the Patreons.
Can I just talk
Yeah.
about how it's a conspiracy theory that we don't even really get to elect anyone, that it's already chosen, so it doesn't
Well,
really matter
duh, by
what's
Jay-Z
happening.
and John
Fair point.
Schnars,
Yeah.
the Illuminatis.
Yep.
Jade Helm.
Jade Helm. It's all happening under the Denver airport. They're deciding it right now.
Yeah. They ordered Potbelly.
All right, so off the top, we are going to talk about
Farts. No?
CC. You have a bunch of stuff. First, we're just going to talk about the year-ender since we decided on a date and stuff.
We should also talk about the year-end stuff that's going to be appearing on the website starting tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Mark, I just posted.
Do you think we can-
one more? I'll get at least
be right
one more
back.
tonight.
Mark, do you think we can pull funny Krampus tweets? Do you think it's too late, or do you think there's still some good, like, Krampus made me shit my pants, or Krampus is dumb?
I'm sure
Anyone
someone.
shitting
I'm
their
sure
pants at
someone
Krampus. It had nothing to
tweeted
do with the
Krampus
movie.
made me shit my pants.
I feel like you might forget, like, the poop stuff, but I feel like you might find some people who didn't like Krampus who have funny stuff to say.
I wish I took money on the
I'm not even gonna read this on the show because
See,
it
I told
doesn't
you.
make sense with what we were talking about. But I literally just searched "Krampus made me shit my pants." And there's one result: WTF? Krampus trailer made me shit in my pants. CCB, whatever that means.
Something
What does CCB mean?
I don't know. You gotta search those things. I never know what the hell it's talking
I got
about.
fun stuff to talk about if we went to at the top of the show because I got cool presents today. That is a Infinite Santa 8000 limited edition VHS case
For
Sweet.
what?
from Michael Neal, who is the
Those guys
director-
are local to Boston.
yeah,
We've hung out before.
but it's got good had Goosebump stickers in it
Nice.
and Toxic Crusaders,
Oh.
Batman Forever cards, Frighteners,
Frighteners
Crow.
cards.
Yes,
Oh my god.
and a Zombie Tarot card.
I just created the G chat group. If you guys could.
Wait,
Eric. Eric.
Well, I know.
Eric.
Wait.
Been there, done that.
Oh man, if Eric can't figure
Wait
it out.
a minute. What do you mean?
We've had a group going.
Are you in there? I was. Oh man, yes.
Wait.
He found it. He found it. No, maybe. Yes.
All right,
Yes.
hold on.
That's
That
the
one.
one.
You did it.
A, fuck you guys. B,
Proud of you.
hold on.
Proud of you.
Oh, it made my night.
Don't make me pull out the Brazzers pic, Schnars.
I will forever love explaining things like Brazzers to Evan.
Aw, bless his little heart.
That was classic. That was
Evan.
classic.
Wait, what's Brazzers? Oh. We shouldn't tell him those things. We should just let him continue to live life the way he is. It's a better
No,
life. It's a
it's
better
fair.
life than we're living, let's be honest.
There you go. Oh god.
All right. So Mark, it's okay if I call on you for that then later?
For what then?
The what are you, Statler and Waldorf? The Krampus stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, I found a great tweet.
Told you. All right.
Can't wait to read it.
Everybody mute. Let's do it.
Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Hellions, aka Instagram Filter, the movie. But we'll get to that in a little bit. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, back in a deep V for the holiday season, his name is John Schnars.
Just
And
tonight.
you gotta unmute before you talk, buddy.
I am.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Just for that,
Oh.
you gotta show us the V.
No. little tease. Little.
Oh, there it is.
No.
Nice.
Covered up.
John shows the V on a different video feed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start sweating. I might need to change my shirt.
Brazzers.
I'm already sweating.
Next up on the show, he is the web developer at bloodygoodhorror.com. He wears flannel. His name is Mark.
That's how people know I'm flannel.
Flannel's the best.
Yeah,
It's really
it's
good.
warm
Yeah.
and practical, you know?
Yep. Last up on the show, master of symbolology. She's also the host of the Something Red BGH spinoff. And what did I call you last time? High priestess of books and shit at bloodygoodhorror.com.
Yes.
Her name is Cece.
Hello, and I think you forgot Casey.
I said next up, not last up.
No, you
Yo,
said,
you said
and
last
lastly.
up.
I refuse to believe that's true. And last up tonight on the show, he hosts the Instamatic. He writes horror fiction. He has an increasingly week by week more terrifying beard, and his name is Casey.
Hi.
I think that's officially a flavor saver, buddy.
It's getting there. I'm going for sea captain.
Yeah, I know you're pretty close. All you need is the hat, really. You
Yeah,
got
getting
it.
there.
Yeah.
I have to raid Mark's stash for beanies.
Yeah. You need a killer beanie, bro.
I own at least 2.
If only we did video back in the day, we could have documented all of Mark's sweet beanies.
Oh man, it's a good thing we didn't do video back in the day.
I don't know how you did that, considering how much our clan sweats.
I feel like people would have like donated me clothing if they saw us on a video feed.
I
back in
can't
the day.
afford a jacket, so I just wear a hat.
All year round.
Yeah. We are here tonight to talk about a few things. The most important of which is Hellions, a horror film that came out in 2015. The last movie, I believe, of 2015 before the year-end stuff. Is that right?
The last.
Fucking better be.
Um,
The lists are in. The votes have been counted, by the way.
sweet.
Yeah.
When-
I don't want to
All
spoil.
right, well,
it.
let's talk
I'm
about
not
it.
going to.
Talk
but-
to me about year-end stuff. Where are we in the process? When are we going to see it? And then we got some other stuff to talk about as well.
Yeah, so tomorrow is the 15th. The lists are going up on the site starting tomorrow. We're probably going to have 2 or 3 per day. That's up to Mark in his infinite wisdom. Yeah, we're going to be doing the actual top 10 reveal on the 22nd. That's next Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be live streamed for the world. We want the people of the world to enjoy this one. And yeah, so it should be pretty fun. It's going to be a good show. There will be, I don't know, drinking probably, and vote
Well,
counting.
you missed last week. Joe was in rare form last week.
I know. I
to the show.
listened, and
Yeah.
it was entertaining. I was entertained thoroughly. I would say.
Half of the chat last week was just Joe talking about how bad he had to pee and how I needed to let him go pee. And then he would get
then
back, and
he-
then 5 minutes later, it just started again.
Last week was just an exercise in making it appear as if a train was still on the rails while it was going fully
Yeah.
off the rails.
I think we nailed it, if I'm being honest.
Well, it was
Yeah.
funny listening in because you just had no idea what happened to Evan. Like you know.
His
He was
connection just shit the bed from the very beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So-
No,
Well,
I mean,
there was also a period after Evan was kicked off and Joe went to the bathroom that Eric and I were just having a very intimate conversation about the movie. And then there were 2.
Hey, sometimes it works. But yeah, there will be. I think we're gonna have the OG 5. I think that's what we're called now.
I like it.
Yeah, the OG BGH crew will be counting down the top 10. We had 15 votes cast. Everything is in, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's a good list. I think we're gonna have a good show.
Give me a little tease here, Schnars. Have you got any like crazy number ones? Like, are there some, is there
We
a
had so
runaway
I'll,
leader in the voting?
No, I'll give you a tease. There's a
Ooh.
pretty big gap between first and second, but there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 movies that received first place votes.
That seems lower than usual, right?
It's so I was gonna go look at 2014 and 2013 to see. There was the year with Cabin in the Woods where I think it won all but like one first place vote. But yeah, in some years we've had some variety, some years not. This year's interesting. There was a lot of consensus around, say, like 15 movies. So like the votes were really clustered around like 15 or 16 movies, and then there's maybe like a handful that got 1 or 2 votes.
I will say too, like
So-
we really kind of a few weeks ago powwowed, and we're like, all right, let's try to kind of take this more seriously than normal. And I think like for me, probably the first time in the show's history, there was only really one movie that I would have liked to have get in that I didn't, and that's When Animals Dream. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Because I honestly, I couldn't tell you what the hell it's about. I just think that's a sweet title, so it sounded like something I might want to watch. But
Yeah. No, it made a couple lists. I'll tell you, it's the first time we've had all 10 of the movies we actually
did on the show.
Did on the show.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. I will say, too, I think it was probably understood, but anybody who didn't have the same number one vote as me, you can just fire them. Don't worry about a severance package or anything.
That'll be interesting. That'll be.
I mean, you have been writing it Postal as number one every year for like the past years.
There you go.
I didn't really have anything too trolly this year, except maybe one pick on my worst list, but I don't think it'll be like controversial. I was trying to make a statement, John.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that we decided to see less bullshit this year, or if this year was just good, because this is the first year in a really long time that I had like 15 in my top list.
I came away from the list thinking this is the best year we've had in at least a few years, I think.
Oh, yeah. I would agree.
And, there you go.
I feel like when we first started the show, we had like 2 or 3 really strong years, and then it's kind of gone like this a little bit and come back
There's
up.
been some weird stuff. Well, it's also interesting. I don't want to spoil next week, but we also talk about sort of the trends a lot when we get to the show. And this is probably the first year in a while where there's not like a real clear trend. Like you can't look at the top 10 and say, oh, this was the year of X. Like there was all kinds of shit, you know?
That's my favorite thing
about
literally
every kind of movie.
That's my favorite thing about the year-ender show too, is I think a lot of stuff comes out because we just haven't really sat down and had the chance to think about it. But once we're kind of going over everybody's lists, you kind of start making connections, and I think it leads to usually a pretty interesting discussion. So if you want to also get your chance, if you're a non-patron, to check out the show live in video and living color, so to speak. Fire Marshal Bill.
It's mostly living color.
Yeah. So Tuesday, the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
8 p.m.
You're repeating.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to follow our Twitter and/or our Facebook, and you can get that information when it's ready. We'll probably do what we have been doing now for patrons, which is start streaming a few minutes before we go with the episode too, which gets
so you can see how the sausage is made.
Don't ask about the casing.
It typically is everyone's favorite part of the show who gets to see it. I mean, whether or not, that's a good or a bad thing.
We've been consistently getting questions during feedback that are just related to things people heard pre-show. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Hey, Cece.
Yes.
What is the High Priestess of Books and Shit at Bloody Good Horror been up to?
I have episode 3 of Something Red coming, or I think it's already out. I talk with SP Miskowski. She is an author who's actually from Georgia, but she lives in California currently, and she wrote this Skullet Cycle. So we talk about that in dark fiction. And we are also, for the book club, reading Head Full of Ghost by Paul Tremblay.
Ooh.
So
that does not sound like a real name.
I know, it's a really awesome name. Yeah. I like saying it. So it's pretty nice. It's a pretty interesting book. It's about some girl being possessed, or maybe she's just schizophrenic. You don't really know. So yeah, that's what's going on this end.
John, is this
kind of jacked up?
Explain to the listeners a little bit, John, how these spin-offs work now with Patreon. And is this one in the feed? I'm not sure.
This one is in the feed. This will be the final feed, well, for a little while, episode of Something Red. So yeah, we're basically working the spin-offs through the feed in a cycle now. So every sort of 3 episodes you'll get one in the main feed. Otherwise, they'll be available to all the patrons, and they get posted on Patreon. And it's a great way to support the show. For $1 a month, you get access to all the content. You can watch the video of the show. Good stuff.
Cool. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. All right. I think that's it for the top of the show, guys. So let's take a quick break and review Hellions.
Armageddon's reckoning here to end the borrowed time you've all been living on. Pure evil. I'm necessary evil.
Hi, this is Daniel Roebuck from Everything You've Ever Seen on Television, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Disintegrate your big breaking TV from the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. Mwah. We're back. John,
Sir?
you listened to last week's episode, which means you heard me. You slurp your role as word of the day person.
Yep, you did. You done did it.
And I'm just going to say, I think I knocked it out of the park.
You know what? It was a very strong effort. It was very strong.
Schmutzly.
I did not appreciate Joe's piling on. That was just unnecessary.
Well, that was the best part of that is I knew that like I didn't really have to talk shit because Joe totally would. All I had to do was just do the word, and he'd fill in the background for me, which he
Whenever
did not.
he's not here, it's the best show. I'll tell
Yeah.
you. I gotta
Boom.
get my shots in.
Listen,
Gotta
that's
get my
not really as creative as Joe shit talking, but I'll
know.
take it.
Listen.
When our behind the music comes out, it's going to be about how you guys can't be on the show together. You never
It
see
got to
both
the
of
point
you
where they didn't even talk anymore offset.
Oh, man.
All right, Schnars.
talk shit on a delay on an episode by episode basis.
Schnars. The other thing that for sure will be part of the behind the music is your Duke ears.
Okay.
You went to Duke.
They're yeah.
While at Duke,
Less exciting than you would imagine them to
I
have been. but-
highly doubt that.
All right. that's
While
fine.
at Duke, you learned some fancy words, so you bring us the word of the day here every week. So let's take a quick break and do just that. What you got for us this week, Schnars? Try to beat me from last week. Go ahead. Try it.
You know, I just really want to touch my face, but Cece has made me very self-conscious about it.
I know.
I'm sorry, it happened a lot.
You know, Eric, I couldn't resist this week, and the word of the day is Hellion. That is Hellion. Now, if Joe were here, he'd be saying, researching that 5 minutes before the show. Wrong. I did it at least 30 minutes before the show, and Joe can kiss my ass. A Hellion is
Fiery
a rowdy,
Schnars tonight. I really like it. I'm enjoying this.
It's a rowdy, mischievous, or troublemaking person, especially a child. But the interesting piece, and it's, somewhat interesting, the origin of Hellion. So I found a couple different options here, but the one I like and I think is probably correct is that it dates to an older English word, like from the UK, Hellion. It's Hallion, meaning a worthless fellow, and it just kind of got Americanized, or crammed together with the word hell to make Hellion. There was I
was saying this over email. It's kind of a sweet word. Like it really rolls off the tongue very nicely.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm in on the word.
Hellions.
Yeah, Hellion. So it's it's been around since the late 18th century is kind of where they date that. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Now, how does Schmutzli factor into all this? No? Okay.
What's a Schmutzli now? Ah, Lord.
That's one last question about Krampus, as long as we're talking about last week's show. Do you or do you not speak exclusively in German to your grandmother?
No, so
this was a topic of discussion last week.
I know. And it's actually something, if I were on the show, we could have talked about. So my grandparents my mom's father is German, but was born in the U.S., moved back to Germany when he was like 2, and then he came back to the U.S. when he was like 6 or 7.
What year was this?
Hitler.
Oh,
He
right.
basically was like, I better move back to the United States now. But he was a citizen, so it was like not a big deal. His mother, we called her Oma, which was
Yes, I knew it.
But it was weird to me because in the movie they kept calling her Omi, like O-M-I.
Well, that could just be like a.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like a regional thing.
Well, or like the way kids that's like could be a kid's way of saying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she was so we called her Oma, and that was like the German word for grandmother, and she was super German. I mean, like very super German.
I was just kidding. That's fucking amazing.
No, yeah,
That's
like
the
she
best.
there's like great stories that my mom tells about like
Krampus.
no, like bringing like family members to meet her for the first time, and she literally was just like
She's just going off
it's
about
sucking the
Schmutzli
juice out of-
and
yeah, I
how you
guess.
better be good or
I
Schmutzli's
don't
gonna
know.
come.
We did well, and listen, my parents just owned a bakery when I was growing up. We owned a German bakery, so like I know about Christmas German things a little bit,
Oh,
but it's mostly
God.
like, the
can't
breads and the cookies. and
Believe
all
you missed this episode.
that. Yeah, well,
But you
what
know
are
what, John? It's here,
Here we
gone.
are.
We missed our opportunity for that.
I
So
know.
tell me what this Hellions situation's about.
Hellions. Hellions is the story of Dora Vogel. Dora is just a everyday teenage girl in
Explorer, maybe? I don't know.
small. I don't know.
Get it?
Maybe not.
She's a smoker, a
she's
wearer
just-
of nose rings.
Yeah. She just kind of like likes hanging out with her boyfriend. And,
Generic rebellious teen in 2015.
Yeah. And it not clear to me exactly where the town is, but let's just say sort of any town, Canada, because this is actually a Canadian movie. But it
What
could
does
have
that
been-
even mean, Schnars? Anytime.
Well, I was gonna say Anytown, USA, but then I remembered it was Canadian. So it's Halloween, and she's hanging out with her boyfriend, and she leaves him, and she swings by the doctor to like pick up something. It was like kind of weird it was unclear why she was going to the doctor, but basically she's told that she's pregnant, and she's like 4 weeks pregnant or something. Like she's like been pregnant. And she's kind of surprised, but it's like, okay, it's kind of a shock to her system. She goes home. She's supposed to be like going out to party that night, but decides she's going to stay in, kind of process this. Her mom takes her younger brother out trick-or-treating and leaves her home alone. And that's sort of when the weird stuff starts. Initially, it's just a kid who comes to visit her door, trick-or-treating, but he doesn't speak. He's like a little creepy looking. He's in a costume, but he's just also just generally creepy, as kids are. And then he comes back. It sort of begins to escalate to the point where she's essentially being attacked or harassed by these kids. It's a kid with a bucket on his head, and then there's like 2 other kids. One's called Pinocchio. There's like a Raggedy Ann.
Listen, his parents put that bucket on his head for protection, okay? He runs into walls.
It's possible. And so it's sort of there's a point where it's about 35 minutes in the movie. I don't want to say it takes like a turn, but basically she enters what you think is a dreamscape or sort of is definitely presented as a dreamscape. There's crazy stuff, like sort of unrealistic things that are happening in the house.
Crazy shit. The rest of the movie's crazy shit.
There's like wind, like a storm inside the house. She's being harassed by these kids, and they've smashed all the pumpkins, but they've done it in a way that's like they wouldn't have been able to do it that quickly.
There's fog from South America when this is clearly in North America.
Throwback. All right, Mark. Thank you. And so it becomes sort of a fight for survival against these kids. Salt becomes pretty important to her survival.
Salt's always important with spirits.
Oh, all right. So this is where we might just turn it over to Cece to have the knowledge dropped. But
Master of
Even I
symbology,
knew
like
that
I
was
said.
fairly standard.
but I mean, all right. Salt plus like shotguns, like is that standard in the symbol like world, or you tell me?
I guess if you're gonna shoot them with something, it would be salt.
Well,
but-
like instead of saying F you, my mom likes to say go pound salt, so it's sort of the same thing. Hey, Mark.
What's up?
Speaking of our mother, what did you think of Hellions?
I feel like she produced at least 2 Hellions.
I'm going to say a full 3. She nailed it across the board.
Yeah, I was
little
gonna say,
Hellions.
which are the 2, Mark?
Yeah.
That was what I was
Oh
curious.
man, this movie I think had so I saw the trailer a while ago when we posted it on the website, and I thought it looked really interesting. I think Eric pointed out this has been like the past 2 years maybe of killer children. We've watched that's like a new thing that's happening.
It wasn't me, but that sounds right.
I thought that this had like a very 90s feel to me. It felt like very kind of Hellraiser-y. There's a little bit of there's a lot of sort of surreal stuff going on. I thought that the general kind of effects and atmosphere were really good, but logically, like I get that this movie's supposed to be fantastical, but it's just impossible to fucking follow, and it feels like very inconsequential in the end. And I think we should talk about the ending because it's real weird. I like I can get behind weird for the sake of weird, but there was just nothing in this movie that like really grabbed me that made it worth recommending. But there were lots of parts of it that I thought were really cool, and I kind of liked the overall concept. I just felt like it just didn't pull it all together.
Casey.
I enjoyed this movie a lot, and it actually ranks fairly highly on my year-end review. Spoiler alert there. I like this movie. It was something weird. It was something different. Once it started going in there, I first started thinking she was going into a dreamscape, and then it kind of started to reveal that this wasn't a dreamscape. This was something that was taking over the entire town. It was really vague. I liked the fact that they were dropping just bits and pieces of the vagueness of what's going on here. Like when the cop says they show up on the blood moon, they showed up after him, so they've been there before. It gives you an idea that it's not just in her head, and it's just something different. It wasn't a remake. It's not a sequel, and I enjoyed the story of it. So there's that.
Cece.
Like Mark, I was really excited when I saw the trailer. I actually purchased it the day it came out on VOD, and then I was rather let down.
You reviewed this for the site, didn't you, Cece?
Mm-hmm, and I gave it a 4.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I thought that it had a lot of great aspects to it. I mean, for a rather low budget film, I think it was pretty low budget. I thought the acting was great, and they had a lot of really good, like, you know, symbolism and ideas floating around, but that's kind of the whole basis of the movie. Like there was a lot of stuff floating around, but nothing was pretty solid. And for the first third of the movie, I was really interested, and then like halfway through I started fast forwarding just to like get to the end. So I mean, it was interesting, and I liked that it was an original screenplay, but I don't know, I would have passed it up.
Schnars.
Yeah, I didn't know anything, like literally nothing about this movie going in, and I was pretty hooked initially. I kind of, it was, I don't know what it was. I thought it just like pulled me in a little bit. It's definitely got sort of a small town vibe to it, but yeah, it really, it gets so strange. And we all kind of talked about it. It's like, there's a lot of fantasy stuff that's going on. And I think, to Casey's point, if you can kind of like just sit back and let it wash over you a little bit, maybe it can work. It got to the point where I just didn't really know exactly what was going on at times, and I don't know. I did not feel like I didn't feel like I had
never
anything
know what was going on.
I didn't think I mean, it was fairly straightforward right through sort of like the middle. I think the other point,
it was straightforward in the sense that at some point it just goes, none of this is going to make sense. Just go with it.
Yeah, but. The hard part with that is like the movie, and this Cece was saying she sort of fast forward a little. The movie's 80 minutes long. It's really trim.
Yeah, it is mercifully short.
But it still didn't feel short. I don't know. So there's some creepy shit in this. Like some of the shots are actually creepy, but it just, I don't know. It didn't hold together in any way that I could hang my hat on.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what to even make of this movie. It feels like an anthology, like short film that got like attempted to squeeze it out to a feature, because I think that the setup is fairly solid. I mean, I wasn't like in love with the first 15, 20 minutes, but I was with it. You've got kind of your crazy ending, and then the section in the middle that in your anthology piece would be like maybe 5 minutes, but instead is like an hour of just wacky random shit happening that I was like totally lost. And I think like this kind of same problem I have with somebody like David Lynch, where like at some point, if you're just being fucking crazy for the sake of being crazy, you lose me. And it felt like a film that was trying to be kind of artsy and have this, like, obviously it's about, the anxiety of when a teenager becomes pregnant, like that. There's all of these emotions and things that come with that. But I think that all of the weird artistic choices don't necessarily lend themselves to making that point stronger. So at some point they just become like noise getting in the way of what he seems actually trying to do. It is a guy. I went and looked it up. This guy also directed Pontypool, which like a lot of people love, but I really did not like.
I was okay on Pontypool.
Yeah, it has a lot of fans. I just thought it was kind of duty. But so I think I'm with Mark. I did like some of the images in this movie. There's this creepy little baby thing that's like porcelain doll thing that shows up in a couple scenes. And which I think actually, I don't know if anybody's seen the latest Takashi Miike trailer, but but it's like the same exact thing as in that trailer. So their lawyers may want to confer there. So, you know, and actually like some of the music is interesting, but then some of it made me angry because some of it is like the problem with like weird this movie reminded me of The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears in a way, because like the problem with like sometimes these really extreme artistic choices is that if they're not done gracefully, then all they do is distract from what you're really trying to do, which is have a story with a message and with characters. And so the biggest culprit, I think, is this like red filter that's covering like 40% of the movie. That's like, it's never explained. And it's not like it's just a little artistic touch to kind of throw you out of sorts. It's red. Like the movie is red.
It's weird. I would have
40
said
minutes.
orange. I'm just like, now I'm worried I might
I thought it was
colorblind.
pink.
It's like, well,
No,
it's
I mean, it
it's,
looks like reddish pink.
it's
on
red,
my screen.
but then like once you make it kind of opaque, it turns everything like a pinkish color when it's bright behind it. Basically.
Yeah, all right, fair. I can get with pink.
You know, but why is my question? Like it actually,
I mean-
and it hurt my enjoyment of the film at some point because like it's too aggressive, and so I just found it distracting.
I cannot wait for CC to explain some stuff to us. I'm honestly.
Explain some stuff. Explain some stuff.
I mean, initially I really liked that Instagram filter, but I agree. Like I do think that it kind of, I don't know, it could have been done a lot cleaner or maybe a little less like aggressively.
Well, it's something you would do at moments to accentuate things,
Right,
not
well, I
for
mean-
40 straight minutes.
I mean, I
Well,
guess
or to
that,
highlight a perspective, right? Like I
Yeah.
kept waiting
Like
for
a
it
dream
to
or
snap
something.
out of it
Well,
and like show us
technically-
the non-perspective.
I mean, I think that the plot of the movie, besides it being a, you know, kind of expose on teen pregnancy and how terrifying it is, that, you know, this town, like we kind of talked about in email, this town kind of exists around Halloween. Like, I don't know if it's because they harvest pumpkins. Like, we don't really ever know
It's
that
because
part.
horror
There's
fans.
so many
It's
fucking
because
pumpkins.
horror
So
fans
many
love
pumpkins.
movies that have pumpkins in them. They don't
Right.
have to ask any questions after that.
So I think that
Boom.
the whole point of the filter was really that it's, I mean, the whole part of the film that the filter's on is this like spiritual or like kind of alternate universe where all this other stuff is happening. And later on, when is it Robert Patrick or whatever, when Terminator shows up.
T-1000.
Agent
Blues.
Doggett.
Yes. But basically, I mean, when the cop shows up and he's explaining that this happens, that these kids show up on Halloween, you know, there's this whole urban legend in general that children born on Halloween are more susceptible to like the other side. And then you start getting, you know, all of these other bits and pieces that lead up to this parallel story that's happening on top of her being a teen mom. But basically, like, this child needs to be sacrificed for some reason, just like his kid was sacrificed. And basically, you're to assume that like its soul's being sacrificed instead of its body. And that's kind of, it's very like Lords of Salem, but it's not very clear. Because, I mean, you get a lot of like the salt aspect is, you know, salt's supposed to protect you against evil spirits and all this other.
I think part of what's weird is that like if the whole point is you're supposed, you know, her character's anxiety about being pregnant. I mean, really, you strip away like trying to suss out exactly what's happening, and like that's what the movie's about. But you only get like barely 5 minutes of setup for this character, and so the whole film you're basically spending with a character that is not really that well fleshed out.
Right.
And so I just really didn't care what was happening. And then it's just all this fever dream that doesn't make sense anyway. So like I'm looking for stuff to like grasp onto, and I just wasn't finding anything.
So am I the only one that just automatically assumed it was because it was an unwanted child, and these things come up to take unwanted children that are on the, you know, on the blood moon to make one of their own? to replenish
So-
their people.
I
To
mean,
replenish their
I
people.
I can totally buy that, but I think the point that I was trying to make earlier, or the point that maybe we can get to, is that like that's fine if you treat that like a thing that's actually happening. Like if this is a horror movie where there's like little fucked up kids that want to take unwanted babies, somehow I'm more on board with that than this like really surreal thing that doesn't fully play out and
It's
turns
the-
out.
See, I
Yeah,
didn't
it's the
have any of that problem with
surreality.
that.
I don't know. Like it might be the filter. It might be like the
Here's the
psychological
thing.
effect of always being told that none of this stuff is like real or consequential. If you're talking about like suspension of disbelief, I am more willing as a viewer to believe that there's these like little monster children that are going to take babies. If you tell me that they exist in the real world, then I am to like be invested in a film where I don't feel like any of this stuff is being treated like it's real.
It's even simpler than that for me. Like, I just think this dude is not a good. Like, to me, if you're gonna make a surreal film, you have to make me believe that there's a reason for every single one of those images, even if I feel too dumb to figure out what it is. Which
But
is
I
like
mean, that-
sometimes
I
how I
would
feel.
agree.
I
He
think
was-
that this guy, frankly, like this is just not a well-made movie. This is just like a dude throwing shit at the wall to see what sticks.
I think that he was able to do that in Pontypool, which is why I liked it. I think the concept of Pontypool is just fucking insane and doesn't make any sense.
right.
But
It's
I-
nonsense, just like
but-
this movie.
No, but in that movie, I'm saying this is the same person who is capable, in my mind, of convincing you that like something that is insane is real. And I thought that was one of the really strong things about Pontypool was how absurd the concept was and how well done it was. And I just feel like this did not feel like that.
What's that scene in Pontypool where the guy just keeps repeating that dumb line to himself and then it becomes real? What the hell is that movie?
Kisses Kill.
Kisses Kill. Yes.
No, Casey, I actually went back and forth about the like unwanted pregnancy, and I'm like, is this movie like anti-abortion? Is it like
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, what's it
pro-abortion? Like,
about? Yeah.
But
Yeah.
here's what I would say is like, you're not really offered a whole lot about how the girl feels about the pregnancy. Like, if
Well, she's-
anything, oh my God, the dog. If anything, I think you're on mute, Cece. If anything, like there's a point, and this was something that was like, it's a small thing, but it's like sort of ridiculous. She like starts eating the like pickles and honey with like salt on them, and it's
Yeah,
like,
because 5 minutes
lady-
after you find out you're pregnant,
Yeah.
you start having cravings.
But
it's
she
like,
had
come
an
on.
accelerated pregnancy.
Right. that's
Yeah.
true.
Because these things,
That's
I
fair.
had no problem
Sure.
when the filter kicks in and everything like that. It didn't affect me. It didn't phase the story because I just assumed once these little dudes started showing up, these people weren't of our plane of existence. These were spirits, as we've said, or some kind of demons or evil entities. I just figured that that comes with them. That's part of the world that they exist in, and it comes with them. So it didn't really put me out of anything. And so I thought it was obvious because they kept going on with the chance of blood for baby and everything that she didn't want the baby. They wanted it. They kept showing it that it was going to come out mutated and wrong. In the
Right, but
claim
like,
says it was
but
fast and stuff.
because of all the imagery and all of the like symbology, right? Cece?
Blood for baby.
Like what is he getting at? Do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of where it loses me. Is like exact what Schnars is saying. Like, is this like her punishment for not wanting the baby? Is all of this just about her like having anxiety
I
about
don't know
the
that
baby?
it has to have a point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there is really a point, which I mean might
Well,
be like
that's
why we're kind of going in this
Maybe
circle.
my issue because
I
like
mean,
to
I
me,
think that-
I
I
like
think that-
like if you're gonna make a surreal movie, I just feel like you have to be driving towards something. Like surreality, just for its own sake, to me, is not enough to keep me in a movie.
It's
that like
I think
less.
that's what makes it
Cruise's
surreal,
baby?
though.
It's less about and John, let me know if I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's less about.
I just
it's
got
not that-
Schnars' Surrey joke. That's pretty good. Nice.
I think John's trying to make this point, and I'm just going to piggyback on it. That like you can be surreal like this, and you can be symbolic, and you can have all this crazy shit happen. But there are very few moments that like bring you back to reality to provide some sort of
gotta be an
comparison
anchor.
to what's actually happening. Whereas even in surreal films that we talk about, there's an occasional cut back to reality to show the divide between what's actually happening and what you're not sure, and you can play with that as if you think of something like Oculus, like you can play with that as a director. There can be surreal shit happening and you can kind of play on the viewer's expectation that, you know, these
Well,
things may or
and
may
it-
not be real, and this never grounds you. This is like straight up like all this shit is goofy. It's not really happening, and so
It's like if
it
you
just
took
doesn't-
the end scene of Final Girl when they're in the field and made a 80-minute movie out of it.
But I mean,
Well,
that was my complaint about that movie too. Was that
I know.
it pretty much straight up told you that none of this shit was real.
Right.
They didn't even
But
try
if you
to
want to
sell
make
it.
if you want to make an artistic surrealist movie, why do you want to make it like all the movies that came before it? Why don't you want to try something different and new and not ground it in reality? So you leave your viewers saying, "What the hell was that?" Which
I
is
mean,
why I
because-
like this, because that's how I came out of it. It's like, what the fuck?
I mean, I totally get like as an experience, like as I feel like this is a great horror movie and just not a good movie. You know, like I feel like
Yeah.
it's a somewhat horrific and reasonably memorable experience that just does not hold up as like a good
You know,
film.
if you
That's
want to
a-
make a
that's a-
surreal film for the sake of making a surreal film, go make Strange Color of Your Body's Tears, and like I'm gonna hate it
I don't
and
think this
not
is that
recommend it
far
to.
off the rails,
No,
to be-
but like
I
that.
like
But
that
that's
movie.
kind of the point. Is
If
this
y'all
movie?
remember.
This movie, like, just by the way of how deep the symbolism is in it. I don't know why I keep wanting to say symbolology.
I know it's like such
How
a-
deep this
Symbolology.
because of how deep the symbolism is rooted in this film, it's impossible to think that there's not some kind of, if not message, at least purpose to all of it. But then by the end of it, none of it comes together. Like none of it coalesces. It's just like it just gets farted out, and then you're like, okay, well, I don't know what that was about.
We can talk about the ending at some
I
point,
didn't
but I think
really hear anyone farting, but
I think that we
I
can't
heard
talk
it.
about this movie without talking about the ending, because the ending is kind of the thing that signals to you that this was all sort of bullshit the whole time.
Yeah.
But we can wait to get there.
Well, like,
you
what?
know?
Okay, so here's my question. So the character, right? I mean, the thing that is unanswered to me is the movie judging her for not wanting this child so bad,
I
or is
don't
it more
think
just
so.
going in a
No,
journey?
I didn't think
And whatever way we answer that, the question is like, what is her character's journey? Because I don't see what it is really. Like,
Well, I
what
mean,
is
I
the
think that
where do we arrive at the end? Is my question.
I think that it's just a setup that, you know, these particular, it's like how somebody becomes possessed. I mean, I think that it's just a setup that these particular, you know, instances create this situation that lends itself to, you know, these creepy ass kids showing up and wanting to take your baby because you got pregnant and, you know, now it's a blood moon and it's
This
right
guy
beside
had-
Halloween. Like, I think it's just a bunch of, I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's,
The moon's aligned.
If this
Yeah, I
guy
think
had
that it's
just
just
pulled out, none of
how
this
it's
movie
gonna
would have
happen.
even happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely lose her as a character, right? Like,
I
It's
don't
not
I think
hard.
I think that's the point. Like, I mean, you don't have character development for her as a female or as a character in general because she's a vessel carrying a child, but also carrying a plot that you don't know anything about this child. You don't know anything about the plot. So
Right.
I think that it lends itself to, you know, for you to feel like, well, what the fuck just happened?
Sometimes I
Or-
just get vibes from movies where I feel like the filmmaker thinks they're being super deep and having something to say on something, but they're just failing. And that's what I felt coming out of this movie. Like,
I mean,
this
I
dude
can
made this
agree.
movie and went, bam, there it is. And I'm almost sitting here watching like, what?
I mean, Pontypool is like that, and that's what I
Yeah.
liked about Pontypool. But like, this doesn't connect in that same way.
Listen,
to me.
Mark, if it's one thing this movie does, I really hope it makes you guys see how fucking terrible Pontypool is.
I mean, I never
I'm-
liked Pontypool, so
Boom.
We
I
could say-
agree.
that maybe there's something in the water in this Canadian town that is ideal for growing pumpkins and makes babies grow really fast.
Maybe
Yeah.
kiss
Oh,
really does
snap.
mean kill, Mark.
See, I know John doesn't like it when I start to think outside of like the literary norms and the what like structure and story structure and stuff like that. I like to think that if spirits and demons came up to kidnap a baby, it's not going to follow a form of a typical character journey. It's not
Dude,
going
but
to.
that's fine. My point, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna bust outside of traditional narrative, it's got to be good. You
Well, it's
can't
gotta
do
be
that.
earned.
You can't
That's the
do that
thing.
and then come with some weak half-ass shit. Is my point.
yeah, it's. I also feel like
but
it's
I
got to
thought
be
it was
earned.
good. That's
Like,
my point.
but like, it's got to be. You have to feel like it was earned on like some merit. Like,
Yeah.
Casey, the thing that I would like is for them to like signal that that's happening when it's happening, right? Like Like art doesn't happen in like a vacuum. It happens in it's like a part of an ongoing conversation,
way
right?
too
and
deep
like
now. I can't handle
no,
it.
but like
are we having a conversation about art in general? Because
well, I just mean like if you're gonna like throw out like the history of the way that films are made, like okay, but then like you fucking do whatever you want.
Well, the other thing too
I was
is
gonna say, if
it
that's
is.
the case, then it doesn't fucking matter what the movie's about. He made
exactly.
it, and
then
What does any of
absorb
this
it.
matter? Why are we even on Earth?
Stupid filter on it. Like, how are you going to be able to defend it?
Listen,
Like,
to
listen.
John's
He
point-
paid a lot of money for that Adobe Premiere plugin, and he was going to use it. Okay.
Yeah.
To John's
I will
point,
concede.
it's
Oops,
you
sorry,
have
Mark.
to hit a minimum bar, right? Like if you think of something thematically similar and really similar in a lot of ways, like something like Eraserhead, like you have to there is like 10 minutes of just normal Cliff Notes buildup and then just full on surrealism straight into the end of the movie. And I think that's what John might mean by earning it, is that like you don't have enough, like, she has a mom and a boyfriend and a brother and that's it, and she's pregnant and there's just there's nothing. It doesn't
they
even have
banged
to
once.
follow a traditional narrative structure or all these rules, but there has to be a base, and there's like no base.
Listen, for what it's worth, I don't really think Cronenberg's like an amazing. I'm sorry, not Cronenberg. Schnars, calm down.
that's fine.
No,
Bring
I
it.
actually have a lot of beef with Lynch because I think that Lynch makes nonsense surrealist movies that a lot of times are just nonsense. Like there's not enough grounding in your average Lynch movie for me too. So I'm not. It's not just like
Yeah,
this
but
movie
like,
I'm
come
picking.
on, to put like those are still better made.
But
than
he's a
this.
better filmmaker. Yeah. That's
like
fair.
that's the problem. Is like I agree with you, and I don't love Lynch films, but like at the end of the day, I can watch them and be like, all right, like visually really interesting. Like there's some like crazy shit going on. I'm not even gonna pretend I understand it. This is like sort of the same thing, but it's like it's less good. Like that was my problem.
Well, it's an interesting thing, right? It's a fine line, like kind of what I was saying. What I want out of a surrealist film is I want you to make me feel dumb. Like maybe that's the real rope-a-dope of making a surrealist film, is it doesn't have to mean anything. You just have to convince people that it's like the deepest shit in the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I watched this movie like months ago, and the further removed I am from it, I probably wouldn't have given it a 4 if I rewrote the review.
That's
like,
because you
right
forgot
now.
your pain.
But maybe that's the reason.
Time
I don't
heals
know.
all wounds.
I was gonna say, if anything, like you came to this fresher than any of us, probably having seen it like right away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that I don't think that it's a terrible movie. I think maybe Mark said it, but like I think that it's a great horror movie. It might not be a great movie in and of itself, but I think that the director probably was able to achieve some of the, more weird and bizarre scenes that he really wanted to, and maybe that's all he was trying to do. I mean, I guess Lynch had to start somewhere, and
I'm starting to
Cronenberg-
think that I might
This
think
guy
this
is-
movie's terrible.
But hold on, this guy, like, he's an old filmmaker. Like, let's
Yeah.
not pretend
He
he's
is.
like a young guy. He was born
Right.
in '58. Like, that's my parents' age.
I mean, can we talk about his magnum opus, My Babysitter's a Vampire?
no, and so like that's the thing. Like,
I'm just saying. I'm not.
Don't belittle.
I don't
Listen,
think-
I'm not making fun of the movie. I'm saying that's a fucking amazing title.
But
for a
like,
movie.
to be fair, I'll say this. Like, to be fair to Casey, if this was like a 23-year-old dude, I'd be like, oh,
Sure,
okay,
sure.
like interesting. Like maybe we're gonna see something crazy from him in the future. This kind of makes me like, knowing where this guy's been and come from. Like, I'm a lot less sort of tolerant of what's going on here.
Have you
I
ever
also
seen
think
See,
Sure,
see,
like-
I would argue the opposite in that, though, with this is old dude who's made movies, born in '58, and he's been making them for a while, that maybe he's watched all these horror movies and the way they've coming out lately, where it's all sequels, it's all remakes and shit like that. He sits back and says, I'm tired of this. I want to do something different.
Casey,
and farts
hold
this
on.
out.
Like let's take a step back. Like, I can't wait to have this conversation next week. There is not a single sequel in our top 10. We had like 17 movies in the top 20 that like was.
Yes, I'm putting emphasis on that this year. Yes, in the
I mean,
past,
but-
I mean, come on, we've all bitched about Rob Zombie remaking Halloween. We've had fucking
in
It was
2000,
like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like,
That's-
By the way, I just gotta say, I'm
I-
really enjoying how fired up everyone is tonight. This is good. I like
Well,
it.
I mean, so here's part of the reason, and I actually want to talk about something positive in a minute. But before I do that, I think that I always try to like bring up this meta aspect of it, and like we literally just made a list of all of our favorite movies that we saw this year, and so like cramming one in towards the end of the year, I just spent a couple days thinking about 10 movies that I thought were fucking amazing. And I'm like trying to slot this in. And the things that would, like, if we watched this in July, I would have been like, oh, whatever. But now I'm like, I just spent all this time thinking about like It Follows, What We Do in Shadows, just like all these cool movies that
It
came out
Follows
this year.
is all like cool story, bro.
There's just no more room. There's no more room in my heart for this movie. You know?
No, I 100% agree with you on that point. Like, if we had seen this in the middle of the summer, we all would have been like, oh yeah, all right. Like, it was super weird.
I disagree with you on that point.
I still think I would have been like, man, I don't really understand what the hell's going on here. But I would have been like a little more tolerant if we hadn't like tried to cram it in.
Do you think so? I do find it interesting. Like, even if, let's say, you know, like Casey enjoyed it, but why is this movie on our radar? Is it because this guy directed Pontypool? It's just a legit question I was curious about.
No, I think people. I think
a lot of buzz.
Because lately I'm seeing a lot of people watching this movie because of the buzz and being like, well, that was terrible. What the hell is that? Like, I'm seeing a lot of that on my Twitter.
It doesn't have good reviews. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a 24 on Rotten Tomatoes or something. Like, yeah, I know. As soon as it came out of my mouth, I knew you guys were
Rotten
excited.
Tomatoes.
I mean,
Favorite
even
movie reviewing website.
when I was trying to read the reviews, I mean, everything, even like the Canadian film festival review was, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it really wasn't that favorable.
Now, I'm
either.
sure Pontypool is a
thought it was
movie.
okay.
I'm sure Pontypool is also a
July.
movie that doesn't have a lot of good mainstream press. I'm sure of it, but I don't, maybe this
I don't
one
know.
had some.
I'm very curious now.
Before we talk about the ending, because I think we should talk about the ending and move on. I just want to say that, like, I thought that
We got plenty of time.
the little kids themselves were pretty creepy. Like, I thought visually and sort of action wise, this movie was pretty fun. It's just like, I was like, all right, cool. Now it's time to move on to whatever happens in the end. And then the ending came, and I was like, fuck, why?
It felt like The Brood a little bit to me. Like the kids reminded me of the kids in The Brood.
It reminded me of Red
a
Rover.
sucker.
The
I'm
kids
like a
from Red
sucker
Rover.
for like fucking bootleg shitty Halloween costumes. I love it. Like,
Yeah,
throw a
those-
potato sack and a bucket on a kid's
But I
head.
mean, the kids were terrifying.
Hey, I'm
Like,
Bucket Guy.
Kids doing creepy shit is never not scary. That's just a fact. So real quick, Pontypool, and I'm only looking on IMDb. I like, for whatever that's worth, has a 6.7 on on IMDb.
Wow.
This has a 4.3. So, it's not like this guy is getting like major hate on IMDb or anything. Let's throw him a bone.
Let's talk meta IMDb stuff for a little while.
So I have a question. Have any of you guys seen? So apparently this guy is pretty well known for this 90s mockumentary called Hardcore Logo, released in 1996. Is that a thing anyone's heard of?
it. No.
Okay.
No.
Moving on. Anything else you guys?
The main actress was on Degrassi, so Canada.
Next Generation, though. She was on the newer one.
Oh, my bad.
Degrassi 2.0.
She's pretty young, yeah.
She is young. That's fair.
Learn your Degrassi's, John.
Damn.
She wasn't on there with Drake. That's what matters.
The synopsis for Hardcore Logo 2 says, the sequel to this mockumentary of this 1996 cult favorite, Hardcore Logo.
Oh, cool.
I've already said that name more
So,
than
Eric,
anyone
just
has
because
ever
it says it's a cult favorite on the internet.
No, I understand that. That's why I was pointing out that that's where I saw that from. So.
The marketing team has described it as a
Yeah.
cult.
They got me. Nailed it. You guys brainwashed me. Have you guys heard of this cult hit? I hear everybody loves it.
It's called Baby Geniuses 3.
It's called Derp Derp to Derp Derp Derp. Let's talk about the ending.
Let's.
That's a terrifying dream.
Can't wait.
Someone who
tell me
understood
what
it
happened.
more than I did should explain it.
I don't know is there understanding to
Well,
be
why don't
had?
you just talk about it?
Okay, I'll talk about my concept of the ending.
Okay.
Okay.
So there's a spoiler alert. I don't know if you want to throw up the graphic, and I don't know if it's a spoiler because I don't think it makes sense to literally anyone. So shit starts going crazy. She's like getting more pregnant by the second and fighting off all these creepy children. She's throwing salt on them. They're getting all shriveled and just things are going fucking crazy. And she finds, people are dying. Things are happening. She finds herself like walking towards this big door through a pumpkin minefield, which I thought was a great. I think someone on Twitter said something about the pumpkin minefield, or maybe Joe. I don't know. Someone said it, or maybe one of you guys. Who knows? But she's
It wasn't me.
walking through a field of exploding CG pumpkins, which apparently, like firecrackers, were out of the budget because there was like lots of really terrible after effects explosions. And she walks through this door. And when she walks through this door, the filter is gone. So that tells us that we're back in real life, or so we think. She's at her bed, and her mom's there, and her little brother's there. And I can't remember if she, at this point, is like had the baby or if she's still super pregnant. I can't remember.
No, you mean when
which.
she's in the hospital?
Yeah.
No, there's no baby. It's she's not
She's
pregnant.
babyless.
Get that burp out, buddy.
She's babyless.
Sorry,
You're gonna have an
Just-
aneurysm if you try to
Just
keep
punch
talking
yourself,
while holding that
punch
burp
yourself in
out.
the stomach. Let it
I'm
go.
gonna stab myself in the stomach.
And so they're talking, and everything seems normal for a little while until basically like her mom calls her a slut and stabs her in the stomach, and then she wakes up again,
The double
she's-
wake up.
and she's in another hospital.
Yeah.
That
This
is
time
not-
the filter's green. Oh, sorry.
Which no, this is the hospital that we started in. The movie opens in the hospital.
Right.
and she walks out of the hallway, and no one's there. And as she's walking down the hallway very slowly, which I will admit is kind of has attention to it, and then someone I didn't pick out exactly what the whisper was, but there's like a whisper at the very end.
Yeah, because there's this theme with the baby's kind of whispering to her, like, "Hey, what's up? I'm the baby.
Give me some.
I want milk. This is going to be unpleasant for you."
Oh my god, that in my headphones is the most fucked up thing I've ever heard. If I like have those terrifying dreams, whatever, God forbid I'm pregnant, I will die. Straight up die.
It's just what babies say.
Please stop. Please stop.
Yeah, and then that's
It is kind of
That's-
like the Final Girls, huh?
that's fucking it. And
So
I
I'm gonna
hate
jump
it.
right out here in front because I've been the big defender of this movie. As much as I love this movie from the beginning and the middle and all the weird shit going on in the ending, I thought was bullshit.
Give me something. Put him in a fucking snow globe or a pumpkin or just
Right.
something.
And then they all lived happily ever
Like, give her a
after in
fucking fetus ornament, and
in a
then
pumpkin the whole time.
It just feels anticlimactic because if they would have either you go through all that weirdness and then it just kind of
Yeah.
we were
I
in
just
a
don't think
uterus the whole
I
time.
don't think they knew what to do with it. I mean, if
Yeah.
I'm being really honest, like they had no idea. And again, I
Right,
come
because,
back to the fact
listen,
the movie's 78 minutes. It
If
was
the
so
movie
short.
had a point, if the movie was going somewhere, they would have known where it was going. It
Yeah.
wouldn't have been a question as to how to end
My
it,
whole thing
because
about-
everything would have led up to that.
Right. My whole thing about harping on the surrealism is solely because you're never snapped out of it. You're like, they tell you they're snapping you out of it, but this is like a surreal thing. And then maybe, just maybe, the thing at the very end is real, but there's nothing there. It's just
Yeah.
whispering.
yeah.
Well, and well, I don't know. I mean, if
There's
I
a
were to,
couple
like,
ways they could have gone. They could have had her walking out there is all quiet, and instead of the whisper, have all the halls empty. And because I've seen them do this in movies or TV before too, where it's empty, looks like she's still fucked up, someplace fucked up, and then everybody walks out and it's business as usual. And then
All the
Well, that's
nurses are
kind of-
actually killer kids.
No, but Mark, you did skip over the part where she like cuts up her own stuff. She basically
Oh,
like gets
she
herself
does
a
that. Yeah, she
C-section.
really does that.
CC.
Cece's holding
Oh,
a really
Lord.
cute dog right
Yeah,
now.
there's dog stuff
Yeah,
happening.
there is a point before she gets to the hospital where she takes a giant like what's that
Sickle
called?
or whatever, right?
Sickle, and like cuts her stomach open.
What
Well,
if
she-
what if she
so-
wakes up in the hospital and everyone else's face looks like a pig?
No, but all right.
Just
No,
throwing
but
that out there.
She has the bandage, so like you could read that she like actually did kill the baby, and then it goes back to normal because the baby's not there. Like I'm being very charitable about the situation. Like, does that follow? Does that track?
I understand what you're saying. If
I
they're
mean-
after the baby, she cuts it out. They go away.
I have stopped thinking about this movie.
I
I'm just gonna
still
be honest.
like. I want to come back very briefly to the like double twist fake out. Like those things, if they're done for humor, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It's just not appropriate. I'm sorry. Like,
Not
like,
appropriate.
the
Love
mom
it.
just being
not
like,
appropriate.
"You're a filthy whore." Smash cut to like, "Oh wait, I'm really awake." Like it's just the whole thing is.
I would like to
so-
set it up so that when people send me text messages, his Schnarr's going, "You're a filthy whore."
Also, Eric, you have the exact same brain because I was just going to make that.
Or like my alarm in the morning.
Coming next at our BGH ringtones.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I think
with
that we
Joe's
need to make
Yuri.
a ringtone.
You're
Oh my
filthy, huh?
god. I don't know.
Kinder John, it's time to wake up for school.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm out.
Wah, wah.
You're a filthy
Ugh.
one, John.
Anything else you guys want to talk about in regards to this here movie?
No, thank you.
Red filters. You know what this it reminded me of? Is like, remember in the 90s when like Beatles glasses came back? So everywhere you went, you could get like with the round glasses that were like yellow or some shit, and it just destroyed your eyes. So my real question is, when are those should be coming back soon, right? The 90s are back.
No.
I would like it. I would like hipsters to make it okay for me to wear those again because those are pretty sweet.
Dude, just do you, man. Do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So
Amazon
you know what's got to happen, right? Like the inevitable like evolution of glasses styles coming back is eventually the Jeffrey Dahmer has to come back into style. So like if you're trying to jump ahead of style trends, I think you have to do that, right?
Okay.
The double bar on the top, and
I'm
Telling
pretty
you,
sure
man.
I have a
Eric.
friend who has those glasses, so they might already be
listen,
here.
mark my words.
We're going to call this the People's Exhibit A.
Yeah. All right, guys. Would you recommend Hellions, Mark?
Not really.
Cece?
Maybe for backgrounds.
John?
I'm gonna say no.
Casey?
I will say yes. Celebrate something different.
I'm gonna say no, unless you're a filmmaker who wants to make a surreal movie and would like to see how not to do it. Boom. All right, guys. That's it for Hellions. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Something big is coming to McDonald's. Something of such enormous proportions. It could only be called the Jurassic Park Extra Value Meal. Okay, let's eat! An enormously juicy triple cheeseburger with fries and a medium drink in one of 6 free Jurassic Park collector cups. The Jurassic Park Extra Value Meal. A dino-sized value for a dino-sized appetite. Hey, what's mine? What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
This is Jake Busey. You're listening to the Bloody Good Horror Podcast.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back. We are back. Bonus for video watchers. This pic of Schnars with a Jason mask on. Looking just smug as fuck. Just
pretty
Man,
sure
I'm
that
so
picture-
starting to get jealous that you don't post random pictures of other people. It's like very John focused.
I know.
The guy
Yeah, you should all be jealous.
takes
Mark.
amazing pictures. What can I say?
That picture, I'm pretty sure I'm like 22, maybe 23 in that picture.
Yeah, it shows.
I'm a youngin.
You look like a Duke boy in this picture.
Not like now when I'm an olden,
You're an olden.
apparently. Something like that.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com. It's the email address. Tonight, we had a couple of emails. Nothing major here.
Oh, cool.
First up, from Mike. He tweeted at us saying we were wrong or something about the Krampus ending, and then he felt bad and he sent us an email to apologize. But I don't know. Everybody sent all these emails that are all like spoilery about the Krampus ending. We kind of moved past it, I guess. But
Why not just read them, dude? We would never read emails. That's why no one sends them.
we had like 10 emails last week. Okay, step off.
People take time out of their days, their very busy days, to write these emails.
Well, they should write them differently then. But anyway,
Damn.
listen, people have so many thoughts about the
Jesus.
Krampus ending. If I sat here and read all of them, we would be here all day.
Yeah, fuck your thoughts, people.
I do have this email though from Mad for Muff, a man who knows how to write an email. Okay. He says, "Hello, my little schmutzlies. It's been another year from you guys with some awesome reviews of late, so I'll be checking that shit out. I really respect the fact that you keep coming back week after week with your witty reviews and banter. Keep it coming, as I'm sure you will. Question: how does Schnars feel about being rejected by the Tea Party movement for being too posh? Don't worry, John. When all the oil and coal runs out, we can burn the homeless to keep warm. LOL. Sure. I think 2015 has been a good year for horror. My standout is It Follows. If you guys were stuck on a desert island and could take only one film, which would it be? For Joe, what beer? Lastly, I know it's off topic, but how moist are you guys for The Force Awakens? Every time I see the trailer, I get a boner. Signed, Matt Formuff. I do get a boner for that trailer. All of them.
I'm stoked, but I've been pulling the Eric Newell school of movie hype, and I've only watched the trailer twice, and I've avoided all the news stories.
I'm staying away from it too.
Listen, Star Wars broke me. I'm ingesting every little Star Wars thing I can, and it's probably going to come back to bite me in the ass. But
Eric, did you see?
I also got to give full warning for our listeners out there, especially if you're watching live. I think they're doing the red carpet premiere tonight.
Uh-oh.
Twitter is starting to explode, so
it's been delicious.
Has it been lovely?
Yeah, that robot was on the Today Show today.
That's
Or
adorable.
no, Good Morning
That
America.
robot.
I'm sorry.
Eric, did you see the SNL sketch about the Star Wars toys?
I did, yeah. It's pretty good.
You're like that. I'm like
Here's
that
the
too.
difference is that I still want to open the toys. I don't give a shit about saving the box. I just want the toy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes it better or worse. I'm not making a value judgment.
There's at least a half dozen toys sitting on my desk right now.
God damn it. Listen, now Mark made me feel bad for not reading this fucking guy's email, so now we're going to read it. Are you happy, Mike? I mean, Mark. This guy's name is Mike.
I was going to say, is that guy's name?
Mike
Yes,
is
it
probably
is.
Happy?
super happy.
It totally is. All right.
And for Mike.
He wanted to say just he didn't have any people being pissed off at the ending in his theater. He did have the same reaction when you get the kind of like kid waking up scene towards the end. All right, whatever. I can't read this email. I'm sorry. All right, and also we got another one, just so he doesn't feel bad. We got another one from Chris, who wrote like a 5-page email about his interpretation of the Krampus ending. Basically, it is interesting. Like a lot of people's thoughts seem to hedge on the fact, like our discussion of them kind of being stuck in purgatory at the end, but then what does that mean for the grandmother? And basically this interpretation
Because
is that
she had been through a previous Krampus incident.
well, right, but at the end of the
different
movie
end.
though, but so is he now, and at the end of the movie, but though he is stuck in there too. And so this guy Chris said, I'm gonna boil it down here, but his interesting theory basically is that he gets his wish, right? But in a twisted, like funhouse way. Like he wishes, I just want Christmas to be the way it used to be. And they do, and he gets that, but now he's stuck in purgatory where it's always going to be Christmas, and he's stuck in the snow globe with his fucking terrible family.
Snap!
Which I actually was like,
I'm down.
yeah,
I'm
okay,
in.
I can see that.
You know
because
how you-
because
you know
what
how
you can't,
you-
what you have to reconcile is why does the grandmother get kind of allowed to just go live her life, and he's not, because he really isn't at the end of the movie. And so I found that an interesting interpretation.
Well, you know how you do that? You just play the clip of him saying like, I just want Christmas to be like it used to be, over that ending, and boom, you've accomplished that.
Yeah, it makes a little more sense. Sure. Anyway, Chris Senza was saying, as always, you guys are my favorite horror podcast. I'm so happy to hear the success of your Patreon campaign. As a man about to marry and a person in his 30s, you all prove to me that maintaining a healthy horror movie habit and drinking is 100% possible with marriage and children. Thanks. So this is what Joe has brought to the world.
Yeah.
You don't read our email chants, but
I
we're
can't
happy
speak
to
for
be here.
drinking. I can't, because if I drink nowadays, I pretty much die. But yeah, I think like the key is just being with somebody who like kind of lets you be you, man. But also it's like it's striking a balance. Like you can't be an asshole either if you're gonna expect to run around being a giant man child.
I think we all have supremely tolerant others in our lives too, because this takes up a good amount of time, and we've been doing it for 8 years. So
I mean, Kyle has over 1,000 records, so I think that my horror obsession is well balanced.
Right, but does he have like plague doctor masks under couch cushions like you do?
No, but I mean, like he has all kinds of music memorabilia, and I mean, the majority of his time is spent at like music shows.
Do you guys
ever
have
just, like- Wake him up in
house?
the middle of the night wearing the plague doctor mask.
I think he might divorce me, and then I would wither away being alone in the world. So.
Do you guys have a house or an apartment?
A house?
Okay, it makes it easier to collect a ton of shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
He has his room. I have this room, as you see, has started. See.
Nice.
Oh, hells
Cool.
yes.
Very nice.
We're getting an inside tour of Cece's room.
BGH
for the
Cribs.
listeners. Yeah.
Info
This is
at
my gold pool.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com, the place to send your short emails. Also, we're on Twitter at BGH Horror with hash. It's not,
Paragraphs
you know what?
only.
It's not necessarily the long ones. It's just like, if you send me a really long email detailing the ending of a movie, I'm just not going to read it. And I feel like that's always been my policy. So, sorry, guys. I still love you.
For those of you who have not heard the policy, that is the
There it
policy.
is. We're also on Twitter at BG Horror with the hashtag AskBGH. Mark, also, the other thing I asked you to do is you promised us that you would start looking up funny tweets on Twitter about new releases, and you did not last week.
Yeah, I mean, some of these tweets are too long. I'm probably just not going to read them.
Not possible, Mark. That's the beauty of Twitter.
I'm just fucking with you. And the funny part is, this first tweet I'm going to read is actually longer than a normal tweet.
Unless you're one of those assholes that uses an app that lets you tweet longer, in which case, just get the hell out of here.
Well, so this is
I
kind of
didn't even
funny.
know there were those.
Oh, yeah, they're for old people, basically.
This first one is from Freddy in Space, and his comment is just LOL in all caps. LOL, this goon thinks Krampus is real. And posted a screenshot of an Amazon review that I'm also going to read because it's super funny. 1 star, horrible film. This film bastardized the true frightful Krampus of European lore. None of this movie made any sense if you know the history of Krampus. Children of the Alpine regions of Europe are terrified of Krampus and will probably laugh at this film as I did. It was absolutely horrible with little in the way of fact about Krampus. I did not expect a documentary, blood or gore, but I did expect a little more realism as to the true Krampus than this film provided. I could not nor would recommend it. It's that bad.
So is this guy trolling us?
Gotta be, right?
It's hard to tell,
No,
Mark.
it is really hard to
I
tell.
feel like I have a pretty good troll detector, but I'm not picking it up.
I mean, if you put the word lore after Krampus, this review doesn't seem insane, but he is kind of writing it as if Krampus is a real thing.
So he didn't expect a documentary about Krampus.
Right.
I really wish my German relatives were alive so I could get into Krampus. They're unfortunately not.
I wish your German relatives were alive too, John.
I
I
know,
wish
it would've
they
been
were
amazing.
alive or like not living in Brazil somewhere.
Oh,
Stop.
damn.
Stop.
Never
Lord.
forget.
Never.
All right, next one is
Never.
from Connor Gilbert 73. This Krampus film has got to be a piss take. Looks absolute bolognese.
Man, I like the phrase piss take. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's strong.
I'm into that. That's got to be British, right?
I'm guessing.
Taking a piss, mate.
Yeah.
Oi.
Sure. Oi. Oi.
Pretty sure that's something.
That's usually followed up by the C word, but there's a lady in the room. Thank you
Bruh.
very much.
Bruv.
Appreciate it.
Bruv, there you go.
Minge.
Boy,
That's a good one.
bruv.
You're such a gentleman.
God.
Whatever, Mark just said minge, so. Which is, by the way, is a word that I learned from Game of Thrones.
I thought no one heard me. That's why. Oh, man.
I learned that word
we're
from
off
Game of
rails.
Thrones and then went and Googled it, so you can guess how that went.
Minges.com. All right, this one is from Tiny Smog. Krampus, more like Krampus, because periods, LOL.
Solid.
Yeah.
God.
This next one is from Link It Up, Alicia. Link It Up, Alicia. Link It Up, Alicia. When yo bro-in-law got you fucked up because he think we about to go see Krampus, fuck nah, just watch the trailer. That's true. She's not going to go. Next one is from...
Oh, I get it.
Alfred.
Like he's thinking she's going to go, but then she saw the trailer and was like, oh, hell no, it's too
She's
scary.
like, fuck no, yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to
next
shit my
one-
pants if I go see that movie.
Next one is from Alpha Decay, a.k.a. Satanic Jess. Retweet if you want to fuck Krampus.
Hashtag things goth girls say.
Yeah.
Because she's horny, right?
Yeah. Wah.
Hashtag dad joke.
Because he's got hooves. All right, next one is from 13 Rand
Cece,
Dizzle.
are you okay?
Next one is from 13 Randizzle. Just saw Krampus. I swear to God, I would have beat the shit out of my kid for summoning that demon. Like, call CPS type beat.
It's terrible.
And this next one from Zendio Arts has a visual aid. Eric, can you bring that up in the chat?
I would love to. Can you send it?
I did.
He
Oh,
sent
is
it
that the
earlier.
thing Casey sent or no?
No, from earlier.
This is from Zendio Arts on
All right,
Twitter.
stand by.
Yeah.
Just the picture?
Yep.
Okay, hold on.
So
And go.
someone tweeted, retweet this in 5 seconds or Krampus is coming for you this year. And it's like an old painting of Krampus holding a kid.
Like eating the little Debbie child, sort of?
Yeah. And someone replied, or Zendio Arts replied, Krampus looks like he's about to lick the fuck out of that little boy's butthole. No funny shit. Sad face. SMH.
I really like the SMH at the end. That makes it just a good solid tweet.
You know what's crazy?
It's sincere. That's what that means.
Mark, can you see now why I insist you do this segment, even though you hate doing
I
it?
get it.
Okay.
Like, people are talking about, like the shit you post on social media when you're like looking for a job. Like, someone is one day gonna look at this person's Twitter account and read, Krampus looks like he's about to lick the fuck out of that little boy's butthole.
Listen,
Just be like,
he's not wrong.
I mean, Krampus does look like he's about to lick
Right,
the
that's what I'm saying. The man is just a truth teller.
I think I've said little boy's butthole a few too many times.
I think, Mark, if we've learned anything from one Mr. Donald Trump, it's that people really appreciate the truth.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that Mexicans are
political.
That's what Donald Trump tells me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it for the Krampus tweets. We can
Nice
move on.
work, buddy. So we're
nice
also
job,
on,
Internet. Thanks for
We're
coming.
also on Twitter. They actually really came through on that one.
They are the real MVP.
Yeah. We also use the hashtag AskBGH. You want to give me a second here? I'll do my duty and actually load up the tweets this week.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So the first one is from the movie pit. Hellions felt like it ran out of plot halfway through. Do you think this is a problem with director Bruce McDonald's films?
Listen, man, I'm sorry, but Pontypool is just a mess of a movie, so it doesn't surprise me that much.
Was it though? Was it a mess?
Go back to that show. I was by the end of that. That was like I didn't realize how upset that movie made me until we started reviewing it, and I'm pretty sure I was real salty by the end.
I don't know.
that show.
When you go back to the Trick or Treat episode, you seem to really like it. So I don't know if going.
So yeah,
back-
maybe who knows? No, I remember specifically just going on and on how dumb that kisses kill scene was, which is like the pivotal scene in the movie.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Shit, dumb.
I'm with you. All right, next one is from Mr. Stoner 82, who loves pink filters. Holy shit, was this movie not too damn pink for anyone else?
Yeah,
I kind of just want that filter on all of my Instagram photos.
Auto filter?
Yep.
I believe it's called Flamingo.
Do I have to pay extra
probably.
for that? Because I don't want to do that.
Yeah, probably called Flamingo.
It's no lark, that's for sure. Everyone knows that's the best.
I'm a Rise guy myself.
I prefer Nashville.
Yeah.
X-Pro, all the way.
Next one is from 40 Ounce Heroes. After last week's conversation about movie endings, do you have any movies in mind that the ending alone has ruined the experience?
I'm like pretty lenient. If I really like a movie, I'm like kind of willing to go with most endings. I get more angry when like a movie, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me that much. Like I always think of The Mist because people get so pissed off about the Mist ending, but I just kind of watched it and was like, that was kind of messed up.
What was that movie that we watched, that like exorcism movie that ends just like so abruptly, like it felt like 20 minutes early?
Yeah, it was.
Is that the found footage one?
Yeah.
Where the end's like tells you to go to a website to see the end of the movie?
Yeah. What
Oh my
was
God,
that
what the
called? That was so
Vatican tapes?
No, that's the one that came out this year.
No, there was a baby.
It was a generic-y, it was one of those like
Well,
generic-y.
they definitely went to the Vatican. That was like
They did because there's a scene where the priest like almost drowns the baby that he's baptizing.
Yeah.
That wasn't the one with Anthony Hopkins, was it?
No, this was like
Was it the devil inside?
Yes. Yep, pretty sure.
Was it? Okay, I don't
Pretty
know.
sure
They're all kind of blurring together for me.
Yeah.
I think it was the devil inside, but it was basically, if you haven't seen it, don't see it, and I'm gonna spoil it because you shouldn't see it. But like,
that was a movie that I didn't like anyway, and then
I didn't like any.
The
yeah,
ending
that's a
was
good point.
so god
But
awful.
The the ending like made it memorable for how shitty it was. Like,
Yes. Yeah. It pushed it over the edge to like worst.
Like if
of
you
a
imagine
long-
the
in a
movie
long and
Planes,
wild
Trains, and
territory.
Automobiles were at a point John Candy just yanks the wheel and they crash into a tree and that's the end of the movie. Like, that's the ending.
At like 70 minutes, and then a URL
Right.
comes up and is like, to
And
see
it
what
says
happened, go here.
Website to see the real ending. Of
And
this
then they'll like,
movie.
let me Google that page comes up at the
Or like
end.
call a hotline. It was the 80s, so like call a hotline to find out the true ending of this movie. There you go. I don't know. I
a
can't
lot of
think of.
people would have called that hotline. probably.
I think that if a movie is really, really good, it takes a lot for me to like give up on a movie just because of the ending. That's just my opinion. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree. I mean, I would just rewatch the movie and skip the ending.
like to me, I don't know. I just like it's really rare to me. Like if I really, I don't know. For me, if I'm still with a movie by the end, like you pretty much won me over at that
Well,
point. So.
it's also the thing I would say is like more I think about it, the inverse is actually more true,
Right,
which is
right.
that if you have a mediocre movie and a fucking phenomenal ending,
Then it just
you're
feels
gonna
like you
walk away
wrote the
being like,
ending first and you tried to go backwards and it
sure.
didn't work.
But my point being, like, you'll walk away and be like, "Wow, that was amazing," you know, and like you might even look back and be, like, you might look back and go, you know, the
It can
rest.
save a movie, right?
Yeah, but or it can really make a movie something bigger than it is if the ending's really good. But yeah, I can't think of one either. I don't know. I'd have to really dig on that.
All
What
right.
was that season of Dallas when they woke up and it was all Bobby's
Who shot
dream
JR?
or whatever?
Who shot Mr. Burns?
Yeah, I don't know, Casey. That one's you're going.
Hey,
far there.
can it be a TV show? Because the ending of Dexter was maybe the worst fucking thing that has
I
ever
thought you
been
were.
put on
I thought you were
anything.
going with Roseanne on that one.
It's like the Holocaust and the ending of Dexter. Like,
Oh,
one, two.
Yes.
It was so
Walk
fucking
that
bad.
back.
So I've never watched the last 2 seasons of Dexter, but now I'm not.
Don't.
Yeah,
Just
don't.
don't.
Buy the DVDs, take them outside, put fucking lighter fluid on them, and set them on fire.
I actually like want to know what happens now that it was that bad.
It's
Oh,
better
Just
to
God.
go read
look
it.
up.
Yeah, well, exactly. I might
And
just Wikipedia
It's
it.
funny, like after what I was just saying, because the last 2 to 3 seasons of Dexter were so horrendously awful that it actually made me lose respect. Like it made me go back and think, was this really as good as I like thought it was all along? And my conclusion is no. Like it really actually tarnished my view of it. So it's
Well,
interesting.
I thought it kind of even like I think the last season I saw was maybe the 4th season, and I was kind of like, all
and now
right.
they're bringing it back.
I gave up after Trinity Killers.
Schnars, yeah,
Yeah.
Casey, like,
Great.
and
That
I'm not
was
like
less
there was
good.
some stuff that was interesting after Trinity, Casey, but that was by
Yeah.
far the peak of it.
Well, just some of the characters got so ridiculous. I mean, now we're like really off on a tangent, but I don't know.
No, but it's what happens with these shows though, and the horror one specifically is that a show like Dexter is so good in the first season because they take time to let the story breathe and build up the atmosphere because it's so key to a show like Dexter. Like if you go back and watch it, it's shot like a horror movie and it's scored like a horror movie and edited, and you've got like cool lighting things and fog and like it's really creepy. But by the time you get to season like 5, 6, you built up so much character bullshit. And this show is a really like bad example of this. It runs out of time to do any mood setting because you have to go from exposition to exposition, character to character, and you have no room to let it breathe. Like they have this season with Colin Hanks and like Edward James Olmos or something. Totally.
Yeah, I watched
And
that one.
That
was
is
the
a
final
like season that actually they had a lot of cool visuals planned that they would sit on for like 5 seconds and then they'd have to move on to some dumb conversation, and it was maddening.
Okay.
A lot of I feel like long term like Game of Thrones is kind of getting like that. I feel like all we get is the outside shot of a building and then 2 people talking for 20 minutes, and you're like,
I mean, no
really?
matter what happens, the last episode of Game of Thrones is going to be everyone's least favorite episode
Yeah.
of television ever. So,
Yeah.
It's probably true.
all right. Next one, not an Ask BGH, but
That
it
made
popped
me
up in the
sad,
chat
Mark.
anyways, so I'm going to read it. It's from Violet X Vixen, getting through Monday with BG Horror and Lebowski. Thanks, guys, for the Krampus spirit.
Nice.
Lebowski appears to be a cat.
Yeah, it's a sweet picture of a cat watching us streaming, and she put a BGH sticker on her laptop, Mark. That's fandom.
Yeah, that is fandom.
Yeah, that's
I wonder if the
permanent.
cat was there when Merp was on, and if they had like a moment.
Well, I think she's actually watching the Krampus episode, but she
Yeah.
just tweeted that to add us today. So
Yeah.
that's why I grabbed it. Sorry, Mark. I
That's okay.
I ran through recent mentions to see if there was anything
No, it's good for the viewers at home,
grabbable. Yeah.
current and future viewers. All right, next one. B. Lassiter. What would you suggest I get the discriminating horror fan in my life? Insert BGHT plug here.
A BGH zip up hoodie. Or
Yeah.
actually, you can't get the zip up. We already discussed this. Just a pullover hoodie. Also amazing.
I put it on my Christmas list.
All right. There you go.
That's what Murphy bought me.
Available in heavyweight and lightweight.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get a tank top. You can get a crew neck for the dads out there.
Remember that day on Twitter when I was like bothering people to help me find a good hoodie? So I bought one and I just came yesterday. Too big. So pissed.
See, I like my hoodie.
So
Our hoodies
angry.
though are kind of slim. Like I got an extra large thinking it would be really big, and it's not.
Yeah,
Listen,
I got
Schnars, I'm a tiny
small-
dude. If I have things with where the sleeves are too long, I look like I'm wearing my dad's hand-me-down sweatshirt.
It's just kind of cute.
I got a small thinking it would run a little large, and I look like Will Ferrell in that boardroom sketch. So
What? I thought we were supposed to wear red, white, and blue.
the angle of my dangle was proportionate to the heat of my meat in that t-shirt. So if you're gonna get those shirts, order up. Order a
Yes.
size up,
Yes.
perhaps.
Not me.
but
I'm going nips all the way.
Honestly, I think now's a great time of year, although you're cutting it pretty close. There's so much cool shit on Etsy. There's so many cool, crafty horror things. Also, it's not exactly horror, but big plug to Titty Bats, of course, and Night Watch Studios. They do lots of they have some really cool kind of Bigfoot pins and all that sort of cool stuff.
There's another store in the line of those called Cavity Colors. It's really good too.
Yep.
Has some great T-shirts and retro stuff.
Cavity Colors is good. Middle of Beyond, if you've seen the Bigfoot or Gremlin sweaters or Krampus sweaters, they do.
Does your
Middle-
friend like bats with titties? Because if so, I have
The
just
titty bats.
Also,
And-
knife cats. He
Oh,
does.
and knife cats.
So
he does
Middle
a lot
of
knife
Beyond, I don't
cats.
know that we've really talked about it, but now is the time of year for Middle of Beyond because they have lots of crazy Christmas ornaments. They do sweaters and scarves for all sorts of horror and sci-fi and cult kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Broke Horror Fan has a lot of really good stuff too, and they normally try to keep it
Is
relatively.
that an
cheap.
Etsy store?
No, it's a website.
And
Etsy.
Fright Rags, of course. If you haven't been to the Fright Rags, you're living under a rock.
Since when you brought up Middle of Beyond, I have to bring it up. It's way out of my price range because it was $2.99, but they have a full shaped Bigfoot throw rug.
I love it. Yeah,
It was awesome.
I
With
wish
the
I could
head
live
and
in a world.
that would be awesome. It was like a bear.
Yeah, it's all cut out and everything.
They have a giant D20 rug. I wish I could live in a world where that was an acceptable thing to put anywhere on the floor.
nerd.
Yeah, for real.
I just bought from a company called Tatley. Have you guys ever seen Tatley? I bought a set. They're they kind of do high end temporary tattoos. They call them designy temporary tattoos. But they're pretty cool. There's some fun ones. They're
one of your bros from Duke start that company.
No, they didn't. You know why I bought them? They have a set of throwback Sesame Street temporary tattoos that I bought for my kid for Christmas. So
That's
go
pretty
fuck
awesome.
yourself, Eric. How about that? Snap!
I just assume your kid gets a bunch of schnitzel and old wooden German toys or something.
It's a rocking horse.
Sauerkraut.
Sorry, my German accent's not as good as Joe's.
I don't know. That was all right. I'm into it.
Really know what you're going for there, but yeah.
I'm into it.
Next one is also from B. Lassiter. If the new Star Wars movie sucks, are the Mark character and the Joe character planning to join the Chicago riots?
First of all, I think I speak for everyone when I say
Yeesh.
shut your whore mouth about Star Wars not being good.
Oh, they're going to say about the Chicago riots, no?
Yeah, that's maybe a little off color too. It's got to be good, guys. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's gotta
yeah.
be good.
I think it's good.
I have full confidence.
If it's not good, or if its stuff starts coming out, I'm signing off the internet. I'm going off the grid forever, maybe.
My theory is we know it's going to be good because we already saw what he was going to do with Star Wars when he made Star Trek.
I mean, here's the thing: J.J. Abrams is not a bad this is this kind of project is tailor made for him. So, people's like or dislike of it, I think, is largely going to be related to the amount of hype that, like myself, people allow themselves to get, or there's a lot of people who just two who are just like never pleased with
Right.
stuff.
You can
know what
make
I
the
mean?
argument that J.J. Abrams doesn't make great movies. I would disagree, but he always makes good movies. At the very least, like baseline
He makes,
quality movies.
He makes great movies.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
Super
agree with
A-
you, but I'm
Super A
saying
is a great movie.
even if you're
Yeah.
not a huge fan of his, he doesn't make bad movies. He makes good movies. So,
And
there
guess
you go.
what? Lens flares are fucking awesome. So fuck you.
Yep. Next one, also from B. Lassiter. B. Lassiter tonight. The Schnapps character is not listed on IMDb. Can the Eric character provide us with his full filmography?
Sure.
That might be in reference to Eric posting. What was that before the last show? And you posted what's his name, Winter Soldier.
Oh, you look, dude. You look
You
so
were
much like
losing
that
your goddamn
Sebastian
mind.
Stan guy. It is especially in this picture with your smug face over here with your Jason mask. It is uncanny how much you look like that guy. And
Maybe
I
if I saw
refuse to
him with a
hear
Jason
anything
mask on?
else.
I don't know.
No, I am gonna soon. I'm gonna make some photoshops. So don't worry.
It's not weird at
Don't
all for
worry.
anyone, including me.
I'm just gonna actually. I'm planning a whole day off from work so that I can just make Schnarr's Photoshop.
Hey, John, let me really burn this beer into your brain. He's home alone.
Yeah, no, I'm aware. I'm aware.
It's like, listen, I'm just gonna sit here with some Schnarr's pics and Photoshop and see what happens. All right? Don't you worry about it.
Just some glue sticks and a color printer that's low on ink, and he's ready to go.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds gross.
Oh, Christ.
All right, last one is from RJNC. Hey, Eric, BGH. I'm watching you play video games on my expensive HD flat screen TV.
Nice. He's watching my video of Party Hard, which I highly recommend. YouTube.com/BGH video.
You heard it here first.
He's watching the first video, which has the sweet twist ending to it.
Sweet twist. Yeah, Eric, I was thinking about you this weekend because I was in Best Buy, and there are still expensive TVs, but they're curved. So that's how you know they're expensive.
Yeah.
Those are like $6,000 TVs. The rest of them are like $45. But the once you throw the curve in there, it gets a lot more
It's really funny now. With like that makes this whole discussion even funnier. Is like our apartment now is very long, and the way the cable is. Basically, the only way to do it is to have the TV on one end of the long apartment and the couch like all the way on the other end. So I have like this hand-me-down like 30-inch flat screen, which is like it's a nice TV.
Do you guys have little like opera binoculars?
We're right. It's a nice TV, but I'm sitting like 15 feet away from it right now.
I mean,
man.
I had to have this conversation when we moved into a house. The sofa doesn't have to go against the wall. The sofa can be in the middle of the
You gotta
room.
see this situation.
No,
It has to.
Our living room is really big, and I argued with Kyle for months about the sofa being
Well,
in the
part of the problem is like it's a pretty small apartment, so like we have to make every use of every single little cubit.
feng shui.
Yes.
Check out the feng shui.
City life.
Feng shui.
I don't know about that.
Listen, I wasn't a big fan. Like whatever. I spent the last 2 years in a pretty decent sized house. I don't like what it did to me, Cece. The fucking houses do weird things to people.
I mean, I lived in a 500 square foot apartment
Like,
for a year and a half.
You start
I'll never go
looking
back.
at things you don't need, and you're just like, I should just get that. I don't know why, because I got fucking room for it.
Yeah.
And now that I just had to go through this process of getting rid of everything, I'm never doing it again. I'm gonna buy one of those houses that they make out of like dumpsters, and they like retrofit them, and they like you collect rainwater and you pedal a bicycle for power. Like that's what I want.
Have you discussed with your wife yet?
I feel obligated since Joe's not here to point out the stack of shit behind you that you clearly did
Dude,
not get rid of.
VHS tapes cost like 10 cents now, okay?
Yeah,
I
but
don't
how
want
much
to hear it.
how much
And
space
also,
did they take
most
up?
of this collection I bought when I was like 18 years old.
So you're still carrying around all that old baggage, right?
I stole this from a dumpster fire.
But my point is though, like, but here's the thing. During this process though, I have sloughed all the things that are not important to me, and I've just kept the things that are, which yes, includes those VHS on the rack behind me.
No doubt.
The struggle is real.
Yeah, yeah. Just make fun of you because it's so easy and fun.
Tell me, man, don't get houses. It's terrible.
Don't get houses.
Awful.
Bloody Good Horror, anti-house.
Nothing made me more like acutely aware of the concept of entropy. Like when you own a house, all I thought about all the time was all of this stuff is breaking down and is going to need to be fixed soon, or it's
Well,
going to blow up.
You yourself as a human body.
Yeah,
and
no,
die.
but that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
snap.
Then you start thinking about that.
Don't make me think about it.
It's like, oh, I'm just a walking around corpse. Just
Yeah,
sloughing
so I'm
off.
gonna walk around in my coffin
Christ,
that is
Eric, you're
decaying.
depressing
with
Basically, I'm a pre-corpse.
Jesus.
You're
I'm so
depressing
glad
me
this
because I've been
isn't-
in the same house for 12 years.
I'm not lying, man. I used to like I do yard work in the weekend. I just take a walk around the house and I just be like, it's all just falling apart. I can't keep up with it.
I'm so glad this isn't the last show before Christmas because I'm pretty sure I would just cry my way through Christmas.
Listen, man, I'm good. I'm in an apartment. I'm feeling all good. I threw out all the crap I didn't need. I don't own any of the shit in this apartment. Someone else has to fix it. I'm into it.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's good. Life is great, Mark.
Happy for you.
Oh.
info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. We're also on Twitter
This movie just really fucked us up.
at BG Horror
Apparently.
with the hashtag AskBGH.
Yeah. Year-end show next week.
Year-end show. Check out our YouTube, youtube.com/BGH video. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. That's how you can find out how you can stream us live here every week in the show.
Worth it.
There's a new Instamatic this week.
Oh, that's true.
Me and Sandy talking to hackers.
Nice. Man, I just tried listening to Paul Shear's podcast, and they were talking about hackers. I wasn't a fan. Not a fan.
You got to catch the episode to episode. They can be the
Listen,
variants.
I've really been reaching out, like trying to watch and listen to new shows, and like some stuff is stuck around. But
Well, the problem with how does this get
one.
made is they also put a lot of live episodes in the feed, which you got to be a fan to get through because some of the audio is
If
terrible.
that guy was just being Rafi in the podcast and not himself, I think I would be into that.
Oh, but he kind of does the character a lot. Like, he gets crazy. In any event, we're probably going to be off for a week, and then we'll be back the first week of January with something. The first release, I think you guys talked about on the show, is this The Forest. So, that's coming.
Spooky.
Japanese murder forest.
Yeah, Google it. I'm told.
It's a
I
suicide
don't know.
forest, Mark.
Yeah.
Please.
Well,
Japanese
suicide,
self-murder
John, is
forest.
basically just murdering yourself. Yeah. Yeah. I guess that's it. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. That was our discussion on Hellions. Hope you enjoyed it. And you know what? Have a happy holiday season, folks. We will talk to you next week.
Adios.
See yous.
Bye.
Bye-bye.